So welcome back to Actual English, everyone. I'm Jennifer Clyde. Today it's time for lesson 193, and let's talk about malware. Now, malware is a software that's intended to harm or destroy our computer system or even networks. Malware is short for malicious software. And malware is basically a general term used to describe all these threats to computer safety, such as viruses. There's also spyware, Trojans, and worms, and so on and so forth. Now, I heard that earlier on, virus writers, or virus creators, this was back in the 1980s, I believe, late 1980s. Most of them were just young programmers, often in their teens actually, and they didn't know much about computers or how dangerous these viruses could be to the computer system. But by the late 1990s and the 2000s, now virus writers or hackers even, they actually started to put their talents to professional or even criminal use. So now we have all these problems with malware. Some experts even say that there might be a larger number of or a higher number of malware, malicious software, than actual software that we can actually use, valid software that is. So anyhow, you may think that malware could be a difficult topic to talk about, but well, let's test it out. Let's check out what these two talk about in today's Actual Talk conversation. Here we go.
So I got an email the other day from my email company, and it said that someone had tried to hack into my email account. And I realized when I was reading the information, they said when someone tries to hack into it, they can spread viruses on your computer somehow. So
well, it's becoming a really sort of a huge problem, not just in Korea but worldwide, I think.
Yeah.
I think they call it malware, which is also known as malicious software, I guess.
Right.
And people are hacking into your computer by, sticking some strange, nasty software when you don't know it's happening.
And I think, especially for people like me who aren't very technologically savvy, I guess, I just use my computer and that's all I do. I don't really know anything about it. So I realized I have to be more careful about what kind of things I'm doing on my computer, like maybe what I'm downloading, programs or other things like that, because I realize unless I'm proactively making sure and checking everything, that I'm very vulnerable to these kind of viruses.
Well, we are all vulnerable, and I think it's really important to take care about what you download and what you're looking at when you're using the computer. But I heard a statistic that 1 in 14 downloads in the world contain malware.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It is, isn't it?
Wow. So I think definitely something I'm looking to do right now is investing in some antivirus software.
Right.
And hopefully that can scan everything that's in my computer, make sure I don't have any viruses.
I mean, we do have to be really careful because we seem to be, hear all this stuff in the news constantly about attacks on big companies and the government.
Yeah.
And so I think we should be more careful, especially about, the future. Everything is sort of being put online.
Right.
So I think we need to be careful about what we do on there and, and what programs we download.
Definitely.
Today's Actual Talk conversation was about malware, also called malicious software. Let's find out what the word malicious means, the adjective, and find out lots more about today's conversation in more detail. Here we go. Now, Michelle says, I got an email the other day, and they said that someone had tried to hack into my email account. Now, they here, of course, we're not talking about people, but we're talking about the person that sent her the email. I got an email the other day, and they said, or it said, that someone had tried to hack into my email account. You can hack into a computer system, a network, an email account, even a social networking site account as well. So hack into something. Now, hacking actually, primarily, I believe a long time ago in the good old days or old days, hacking was used to learn more about computers or systems, learn about the IT industry in general. But later on, in more recent years, it's gained, I guess, a darker connotation. So it has a dark connotation to it. Hacking. Basically, you're breaking into something, okay, without the user's consent. Illegally, you're going into a certain system to hack or break into a system. So she says that was what the email was about. And then, she says, they said when someone tries to hack into it, they can spread viruses onto your computer somehow, in some way. She's not saying exactly how, but somehow means in some kind of way, okay? But spread viruses, spread a virus or spread viruses, that's one of our patterns for today. Spread means to what? To cause to expand or extend to a wider area. Okay, so you're spreading viruses. So it goes from one place to another. It's contagious, for example. Let's move on. Now, Eugene says, well, it's becoming really sort of a huge problem. That's right. Hacking has already become a big problem, not just in Korea, but worldwide. Not only or not just in Korea, but worldwide. I think they call it malware, which is also known as malicious software. That's right. So we've got malware and malicious software. Malware we did mention, where it's basically a computer program that is intended to harm or destroy your computer system or network. But malicious also has that meaning to it. It's an adjective which means to be intended to harm, for example. So it is a harmful or a software that is intended to destroy something or harm something. So here we go. I think they call it malware, which is also known as malicious software. To be exact, malware, once again, is short for malicious software. I realize that I have to be more careful about what kinds of things I'm doing on my computer. And then she gives examples, like maybe when I'm downloading programs or other things like that. Other things meaning downloading perhaps movies, it can be music, for example. So basically she's saying I should be more careful about downloading things on the internet. Should be more careful about what to download and what not to download. Well, we are all vulnerable, and I think it's really important to take care about what you download and what you're looking at when you're using the computer. Take care about something? What he means is to be careful about. Take care about. I guess it's a British expression. Take care about means to be careful about something. But vulnerable is what? Vulnerable. Another word for it is susceptible. Okay? If something is maybe capable of being harmed, you can say that it is, or a person is vulnerable. Okay, so we are all vulnerable, meaning we all can be harmed. Okay, vulnerable, we all can be harmed. We can be attacked, or we're open to attack. And it's really important to take care about or be careful about what you download and what you're looking at when you're using the computer. But he says, I heard a statistic that 1 in 14 downloads in the world contains malware. Now we're talking about a numerical fact. Often studies are done, research is done, and they come out with a fact, a numerical fact, and that is a statistic. Now, 1 in 14 downloads in the world, what? They contain malware. So we'll practice this pattern later on as well. 1 out of 14 is another way of putting it. Also, 1 in 14 could be another way. So let's practice that later on with a sample sentence. So the point is what? There was a study or a research or a statistic that said that 1 out of 14 or 1 in 14 downloads in the world, they contain, have malware, so they can spread viruses. Oh my gosh, that's crazy, Michelle says. What I'm looking to do right now is investing in some antivirus software. It's also pronounced as antivirus, okay? Anti, A-N-T-I, means against something. So perhaps these programs that fight against viruses, they're called antivirus or antivirus softwares. And hopefully that can scan everything that's on my computer and make sure I don't have any viruses. So hopefully that meaning what? The antivirus software. So she's hoping to invest in some antivirus software, meaning buy, purchase a certain software. Purchase an antivirus software, and hopefully she can use that to scan everything that's on her computer. Scan means to what? Scan basically means to look through, look over, or even to examine something. We can be scanned. Often if we go to the airport, if we're traveling overseas, we will be scanned. That's right. Something can be scanned, such as our bag. If they scan your bag, it means they look into your bag or look through your bag to see what's in there. It means to examine. So hopefully with the antivirus software, I can scan everything on her computer and make sure that she doesn't have any viruses or the computer doesn't have any viruses. Now Eugene says we do have to be really careful. Why? Because we hear this stuff on the news constantly, continuously, almost every day. About what? About attacks on big companies and the government. And so I think we should be more careful, he says. All right, okay. Everything is sort of being put online. Let's take a look at this. Everything is being put online. You can put something on a table. You can put something on your bed. But what it means by putting something online means to upload something on the internet, okay, online. Everything is being put online. Everything is being uploaded on the internet or online. So I think we need to be careful about what we do and what programs we download. And definitely, Michelle says, and she agrees to what he says. Malware. So now we know what malware is. It's also called malicious software. It's intended to harm your computer system or network, and it can cause viruses to spread around like crazy very fast sometimes. So some examples of malware are, as I did mention, Trojans, worms, even spyware. These are just a few of the examples. There are tons and tons of malware out there. You all should be careful. All right, everyone, that is all for today's Actual Talk conversation. Take a listen to it one more time.
So I got an email the other day from my email company, and it said that someone had tried to hack into my email account. And I realized when I was reading the information, they said when someone tries to hack into it, they can spread viruses on your computer somehow. So
well, it's becoming a really sort of a huge problem, not just in Korea but worldwide, I think.
Yeah.
I think they call it malware, which is also known as malicious software, I guess.
Right.
And people are hacking into your computer by, sticking some strange, nasty software when you don't know it's happening.
And I think, especially for people like me who aren't very technologically savvy, I guess, I just use my computer and that's all I do. I don't really know anything about it. So I realized I have to be more careful about what kind of things I'm doing on my computer, like maybe what I'm downloading, programs or other things like that. Because I realize unless I'm actively, proactively making sure and checking everything, that I'm very vulnerable to these kind of viruses.
Well, we are all vulnerable, and I think it's really important to take care about what you download and what you're looking at when you're using the computer. But I heard a statistic that 1 in 14 downloads in the world contain malware.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It is, isn't it?
Wow. So I think definitely something I'm looking to do right now is investing in some antivirus software.
Right.
And hopefully that can scan all everything that's in my computer, make sure I don't have any viruses.
I mean, we do have to be really careful because we seem to be, hear all this stuff in the news, constantly about attacks on big companies and the government.
Yeah.
And so I think we should be more careful, especially about, the future. Everything is sort of being put online.
Right.
So I think we need to be careful about what we do on there and, and what programs we download.
Definitely.
Are you ready for today's vocab words, phrases, and patterns? Okay, then let's find out how we can use these vocab words and patterns from today's actual talk conversation. Here we go with actual expressions. First of all, we have malware, which happens to be today's topic. Stress goes right there on malware. We're talking about a computer program designed specifically to harm or damage your computer system. Okay? What about malicious? Malware is short for malicious software. Malicious, the stress goes on the second syllable, and malicious itself means spiteful, malevolent. Okay? It's not a very nice word. It's got a definite negative connotation to it, a very dark connotation to it. What about vulnerable? Vulnerable, it's an adjective and it means defenseless. If you are vulnerable to something, you are saying that you are susceptible to or open to attack or even harm. So, some synonyms are defenseless, exposed, and as I mentioned, susceptible. This is a word that you will commonly hear and it's tricky to pronounce. Let's try pronouncing it twice together. Susceptible. Susceptible. Okay, it's a synonym for vulnerable. What about statistic? Okay, statistic is also tricky to pronounce. Statistic, we're talking about data. Okay, evidence or even information, we're talking about a numerical fact. Usually, if you talk about statistics, you will see numbers. So, it means a numerical fact. And then scan in the verb form, it means to examine, to search or check something, or to look over something. Okay, you could scan a person or an object. All right, with that information in mind, let's move on and check out some patterns for today. Hack into. We were talking about how Michelle opened an email and it said something about how someone was trying to hack into her email account. Okay, another word for hack into is break into. Okay, you can hack into someone's account or a certain system illegally, that is, without the user's consent or approval. Some students tried to hack into their school server. Okay, why? To change their grades. I read about this somewhere on the internet and I was wowed. I thought to myself, wow, we couldn't do this when we were in school. We were just learning how to use the computer, how to save things onto a floppy disk, for example. But yes, some students tried to hack into their school server to change their grades. I bet they got into trouble. Okay, moving on to our next pattern, spread virus or spread viruses. Spread means to what? You can spread a disease, okay? You can spread a cold, which means if you have a contagious cold, you could give it to somebody else. You could pass it on. It can be expanded or extended to a wider area. So let's check out how we can use spread a virus or viruses in a sentence. The email attachment I opened spread a virus on my computer. So we're talking about an email attachment that I opened, how it spread a virus on someone's computer. You wouldn't say spreaded, that's not correct. Always say spread. Something spread a virus on my computer, okay? All right, moving on to our next pattern. This is easy, but I chose 1 in 14 to give you a few other ways of saying it. You can say 1 in 14, 2 of 9, or 3 out of 10, okay? Or 1 in 14. Let's try a sample sentence using that. 2 in 13 of my classmates got a perfect score on the exam. So simply put, you're saying 2 students out of 13 students in total. Okay, so 2 in 13, 2 of 13, or 2 out of 13. These are 3 different ways in which you could use that in a sentence. 2 in 13 of my classmates, what? Got a perfect score, meaning 100, on the exam. They aced it. Okay, that is all for today's actual expressions, everyone. Practice the vocab words and these patterns more on your own and make them yours.
Malware is short for malicious software. It's software designed to infiltrate and damage computers without the user's consent. Malware can be anything like Trojan horses, worms, viruses, and things like that. So typically, malware is known to gather your information that you use online, things like your credit card numbers or passwords. Antivirusware doesn't always catch malware, so it's important to also use anti-malware software to protect your computer. Unfortunately, there's no way to protect yourself 100% from malware, so I usually like to be very careful about the websites that I browse or the links that I open on my computer.
Alexis has given us a good explanation of what malware is. Once again, malicious software. Let's check out how she has put it. We've got 5 sentences altogether, so here we go. She first of all said malware is software designed to infiltrate and damage computers without the user's consent. So we've got some difficult words here. Okay, so we've got how malware is software designed to infiltrate. Infiltrate means to pass through something. Filter into. Pass through, filter into. So basically it goes into something, okay? And damage computers without the user's consent. Consent, I did mention earlier on, it basically means approval or permission. So simply put, she's saying malware is a type of software that is designed to, just hack into or infiltrate into someone's computer without the user's permission or approval. It's done illegally. Typically, malware is known to gather, collect, put together your information that you use online. Things like your credit card numbers, or passwords. Things you should always be careful to hold on to, right? So this is what malware is known to do. Malware often, it hacks into your system, it infiltrates into your computer system and steals information such as credit card numbers or even passwords. It's important to also use anti-malware software. Why? To protect your computer. Now, we talked about antivirus software. Here we have anti or anti-malware software, okay? Anti, once again, means against. The prefix anti means against, so always keep that in mind. Here we go. Unfortunately, there's no way to protect yourself 100% from malware. That is very sad. As I did mention, experts say that there probably is more malware software or malicious software than valid software out there. So we all need to be very, very careful. Unfortunately, there's no way, there isn't a single way to protect your computer or yourself from malware 100%. And lastly, one more sentence. I usually like to be very careful about the websites that I browse, or the links that I open on my computer, okay? So we all need to be careful. So what is Alexa saying? She's very cautious. She's very careful about which programs to open, what to download, what not to download, and which links to click on or not click on. Okay, thanks to Alexis one more time for today's actual story. Let's check it out once again.
Malware is short for malicious software. It's software designed to infiltrate and damage computers without the user's consent. Malware can be anything like Trojan horses, worms, viruses, and things like that. So typically, malware is known to gather your information that you use online, things like your credit card numbers or passwords. Antivirusware doesn't always catch malware, so it's important to also use anti-malware software to protect your computer. Unfortunately, there's no way to protect yourself 100% from malware, so I usually like to be very careful about the websites that I browse or the links that I open on my computer.
Today we took the time to learn about or learn how to talk about malware. Once again, it's short for malicious software. Now, Alexis mentioned this. I didn't know about this, but she said that not all antivirus software protects us or catches malware. So it is important to use anti-malware programs or software. Interesting. Okay, so hopefully you know what to say the next time you talk about malware. What I've done for you is, if you do come to our homepage and check our scripts that I've uploaded onto our site, there's some notes or information about malware. I've written down information about the definition and history and classification of malware. So what is malware? Also the story of malware. There are different types of malware. I've given you examples of that as well, such as viruses, worms, and Trojans. There's also something called rootkits, spyware, even keyloggers, and much more. So please do check out that information on our homepage. Our next topic is going to be another computer-related topic, downloading. It's going to be a bit easier to talk about. In the meantime, now, to check out the script and also to add some comments of yours as well as feedback, come to our homepage at www.ebse.co.kr, and once you're there, just simply look for Actual English with Jennifer. Okay, everyone, that is a wrap for today. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.